The forest was never silent. On some nights, the ground breathed. It wasn't the wind, it was the groans of hundreds of disembodied throats. Villagers lost on the old trail were often found eyeless, their mouths sewn shut, as if sewn shut. Some bodies knelt, hands gripping the ground, as if still trying to rise to fight. Strangest of all the victims smelled of iron and old blood, as if they had just been pulled from a centuries-old battlefield. Yet, a war in that place has never been recorded in history. The area is known as the Forbidden Land of the Black Fence. There are no warning signs, no fences, yet animals refuse to enter. Birds avoid flying low, and compasses always turn erratically. It's said that centuries ago, this place was the site of a secret war, not a war between kingdoms, but a ritual of extermination. Thousands of warriors from various regions gathered, promised victory and glory. All they received was betrayal. When the moon was out, the ground was opened. The warriors were buried alive with their weapons. Blood flowed into the stone trenches, forming a seal. The bodies may have died, but their anger was locked in the earth. Since then, a forest has grown over the battlefield. Tree roots penetrate bones. Rusty swords fuse with flesh. The spirits do not ascend, do not depart. They are tasked with maintaining the prohibition. The old people know one rule: never step on the ground that feels warm at night, because that is not the ground. That is the back of those lying upside down. One night, a group of men ventured in. They were looking for a shortcut, or perhaps seeking something more valuable than safety. The first step felt normal. The second made the air grow heavy. The third step, the sound of metal scraping against metal, came from underground. The ground throbbed. The trees made a sound like bones being slowly crushed. One person fell. As their hands touched the ground, their fingers retracted. There was no hole, no crack. The ground swallowed their flesh like living mud. A red mist rose from the forest floor. Not mist, but the breath of spirits. Figures began to rise, not rising, but drawn by their own rage. Headless warriors, swords embedded in their chests, ribs exposed, within them still beating something that wasn't a heart. Torn mouths whispered in the dead language of war. Their steps were heavy. With each step, the ground screamed. They didn't chase, they called. Anyone who heard them felt the same thing, the desire to join the fight. Men began to kneel, hands clawed at the ground, eyes reddened, not from fear, but from longing for the slaughter they never experienced. The spirits gathered in ranks, swords were raised, war cries rang out, shaking the roots of the forest. But there was no enemy before them, for their enemy was the living. As dawn approached, the forest was silent again. The fog cleared. The ground grew cold again. There were no bodies. There were no traces of battle. But at the edge of the village, a few men stood stiffly facing the forest. Their eyes were empty. Their hands clutched objects they had never had before. The still warm fragments of rusted swords. The next night, the earth breathed again, and deep in the forest, the lines of soldiers grew longer. The war was not over. It simply awaited its turn for the next body.